when I put the oil on this one, it was real beautiful and shiny, but of course I used walnut oil. And so one of the things they brought up today was how high a grit did I use to sand it with? And I said 600, and I was informed with oil, you don't go that high. And they said I needed to stop at about 320 so the oil would grab and do its thing, which I haven't done that many oils to know that. Cade was saying that's what he did, and you know how shiny his stuff is. And so I'm gonna now sand this back down to 320 and do the true oil thing to try to get a shine on it with oil. And what's your thoughts about that, Eddie?
Oh, that's a good idea. Oils, you're correct. Oils are a unique finish, and it was there before we ever invented 600 grit paper. And it's been a durable finish. The beauty of it is, if it gets scuffed or beat up, you can repair it. If you got it sanded to 600 and you go to repair it, it's what you're finding out. It's not a lay-on finish.
Mm-hmm.
You can't build it up just laying it on. So I think it's a good idea. I like to see the piece once wrapped up.
Yeah, the oil was so oily, the wood itself, that I had a hard time sanding it because the pads would, clog up, and I couldn't sand with a pad very long. It was so oily anyway. And I did one time put lacquer on an oily piece and it curdled on me. So I learned from that.
If the sandpaper is giving up, you're burnishing or polishing, and novice turners don't follow that. Even 80 grit paper, it will load, and when it loads and you keep using it, all you're doing is burnishing the surface. You'll think, oh, look how smooth it's getting.
I was changing pads about every minute, because it's clogging up so bad.
Yeah.
But
Joaquin,
yeah.
How many coats of oil did you put on there?
So it's got 3 right now.
Yeah. When I was using oil primarily, I usually put on about 10.
Yes.
And then once it was cured, then buff it.
Okay.
I could get a shine like that.
Did you sand it to, Doug? Did you go to the?
I was going to 1,000, 1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to high grit, but like I said, I was using about 10 to 12 coats of oil, letting it cure. I mean, it would take me 3 weeks to get a finish.
Uh-huh.
And then I found that buffing, I could get a decent shine with just the oil, but to buff it, it would really explode when I buffed it.
Was you
using cedar's tough
wax
anyway,
or just the buffing alone on the oil?
I would buff all the way into wax. Yeah.
Okay.
Triple E, white diamond, then wax.
Okay.
But like I said, it's a long, slow finish to use nothing but oil.
Yeah. Well, I like what Cade's, when it's shiny.
Yeah.
Talk about something shiny, I think of Cade, and I want this piece to do that. And just because it looks so good when it was wet, I want it to look like that. Mm-hmm.
And cedar also, that if you have an oily cedar, that oil has something in it that eats the finish from the inside. So you may get a shine. Don't be real disappointed if it goes away after about 3 months. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If they're really oily woods, you can actually hit it with a solvent too, just to dampen the oils, and then hit it with the oil over top of that, and it will stick to the wood because the oils won't be on the surface. But then at that point, you can build your shine on top of that.
Huh?
I'd use sort of a French polish technique in between, and then I sand in between each coat and buff the final coat.
How many coats are you putting on, Cade?
Depends on the density of the wood. On a hardwood, like maple or ash or oak, I would probably do 10 to 12. On a rosewood or an ebony, maybe 6. On a soft wood, like a soft maple or a box elder or a birch, It would, or even like pine or building materials, they would soak it up like a sponge. So it would be closer to probably 16 to 18, 19 coats or so. But it's a lengthy process of love, you could say.
Well, I'll try to have this done by next Wednesday night. We'll do some comparing.
Good, we can go that. We can do it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joaquin.
Well,
Thank you.
let me add one thing. When I get real oily wood, I will wet sand it, either with water or even mineral spirits when I wet sand it. So
Okay.
it keeps it helps to keep the sandpaper unclogged. I'll put a pan of water up underneath the lathe and just, wet sand it, and it keeps your sandpaper from clogging up too bad.
I was thinking the same thing, Trey. That's my normal go-to thing when it's something that'll clog paper.
Okay. Fantastic.
I love the mustard squeeze bottle with water and just bathe it as I sand.
Uh-huh.
Now, I've killed a couple of lathes with that, but hey, I got a question. Dave Chandler asked, isn't EEE 800 grit equivalent?
So the triple E polish, isn't it the equivalent of 800 to 1,000 grit?
That's what I've heard it was. Yeah.
So if you're sanding to 1,500, 2,000, and then coming back to using triple E, you're kind of defeating the purpose, aren't you?
I would think so. The math tells me that.
Generally, yes.
Is
And
it-
then you're going on to the white diamond, which is closer to 2,000.
Okay. So you're following it up with another
Yeah.
higher, okay.
Yeah.
Got
The
it.
bill system is the triple E, then the white diamond, then the carnauba wax.
Okay. Yeah, I don't use the carnauba wax or the triple E's, so.
So what's the Varnex then?
So the Vonix is higher than that, and that's specifically for the 3408 for your CAs.
It's extremely high.
It's higher than the
Polish.
buffing, the compounds for the Beal system.
Yeah, I use an acrylic driver's license headlight cleaner. They sell it at AutoZone or one of those places, Maguire's.
No kidding.
I think it's called McGuire's. That's what I use on CA.
Yeah,
I've
Class
tried the
X, isn't it?
Vonnex. I like the finish of it also. I got into the acrylic cleaner because that's what was available. And it lasts a long time. And if I forget to close it and it dries up a little bit, I squirt a little water in it. Might not be legit, but it works.
Yeah, the last bottle of that I bought, the bottle wore out before I finished using what was inside it. The plastic got brittle and cracked on me. So I had to go buy another bottle.
It's a shame when things last that long, but the containers wear out.
Exactly.